Hi, Leslie Hirschberger here. How are you doing? I want to talk a little bit about three-centered Enneagram support during this time of harmony, where you can feel yourself doing okay, disharmony, where you're really kind of feeling out of whack, and all of that is really normal. And then how do you regulate, given your Enneagram type? And I just finished a call, which, by the way, you are invited to join us. The link is there. I'm putting it below. And it's a lot more flexible than typical. I'm letting people join just kind of class by class, so you can sign up for all 5 of them to save yourself some time. But Renee Carnegie and I are doing a class on the Enneagram in supporting you on the 3 centers during this time. So let me talk a little bit about, though, just how these different centers manage themselves so that you can observe yourself. Because the coronavirus memes kind of tells it how it is for you, and there's some truth to that. But what we're doing is we're looking at it from an inside-out perspective. So if you're an 8, 9, and 1, you're going to probably notice wanting to control in some way. And how do I control my environment? And just pay attention to what you're doing to control. All right? That's one of the things that kind of calms your nervous system until it doesn't, because there's aspects of it that you can't control. So for you, remember, in your center, you tend to feel strong, intense, emotional responses before they're even in your conscious awareness, and you're trying to control that response, try to control that feeling response through a rational defense or a numbing and stuffing your feelings out of awareness. And remember, your less comfortable emotions can get quickly converted to anger. Remember, for 9s, it gets converted to stubbornness. If you're an 8, trying to exert more control, and if you're a 1, trying to take some maybe really practical action and kind of tightening on your vulnerability and what you're really feeling. So just for you is pay attention to when the control gets overused. Pay attention to when it's functional, it's helpful for us, and when it gets overused, and pause. And come inside yourself, breathe, make a little room for what you're feeling. Notice what you're feeling. Remember, you're part of the self-forgetting triad. And notice what you're feeling in the present moment. Breathe into it. See where it's housed in your body. So if you feel like a tightness in the chest, a tightness in your jaw, kind of a stiff neck, pause. Notice it. Maybe even put your hands on it as a resource. Breathe a nice inhale. And then a nice long exhale into the sensation of where you're feeling that. And give yourself some, time to open your heart to yourself. Sometimes by even putting your hands on your heart. And for you, that can be hard. You can find that with body types, okay? Because there's a kind of wanting to defend against feeling, okay? So you may even want to do it by yourselves. And it'll open you up, kind of that head center of a little bit more perspective, a little bit of a wider view. So if you're a heart type, for you, come on, we're out of connection right now. You're all about connection. And what people don't understand about you a lot is you look feeling centered to others, but you're like little radars feeling everybody else's feeling and seeing how are they doing and how are they reacting to how I'm doing. Okay, so for 2s, you're thinking about how you're trying to make it okay for everybody, trying to fill other people's needs, and it's a way you can leave yourself. It's useful until it's not. For you as a 3, some of the 3s on the call today talked almost about this quality of dissociation, of fogginess. That's that kind of movement you have to 9. And so for you, it's noticing that. And sometimes you get stuff done, so don't give yourself a hard time for that. But it's important because you're going to eventually crash to come home to yourself. And 3 said, I had to get into my body. She does some tapping. There's a lot of resources, and I'm going to record those on another video for you, some resources that you can do, that you can use. But find a way to come home to feel what you're feeling in the present moment. Maybe put on some music, some yoga movements. Sometimes for you, movement is helpful, and it's a way for you to get into your body, because for you, just that kind of regular meditation, sitting, is hard at the beginning. All right, and so just notice when you're doing connection, when you're kind of going out to do, because even you 4s, who sometimes can be more introverted, can kind of come home inside of yourselves. Sometimes for you, you can notice that that doing is still very much on your radar. So come home actually to your body to feel, what am I feeling in my body right now? Because because your body houses your emotions. Okay? If you're a head type, and that's where I live, a lot of us are doing a lot of learning. For some of us, not all of us. Some sixes I've talked to say, I don't really want to know everything that's going on. It just makes me more anxious. One six told me, I knew it. That's one of the things in the meme. The memes do good. It's like, I've been waiting for this. In fact, I'm kind of calm. And another six I've talked about said, I'm not. I'm really amped up. So it's different for everyone. Notice how it is for you. But we head types are trying to do a lot of anticipatory planning. And the thing is this path is uncertain. We don't know. We don't know where it's going to lead us. So, it's this constant, the mind filling with information, and that's what I'm noticing inside of me. Sometimes when I'm getting up, in the middle of the night, I can really feel myself doing a lot of the anticipatory stuff. And there can be a real disconnect when you do that. And have you noticed that, head types, that like when you're with people, you're kind of with them, but you're not in some way? Have you noticed that? Pay attention. That's one of the things, that's one of my markers that I'm not in my body. And I have found when I do my sitting meditation practice, I sometimes almost, I light a candle and look at the candle. It's like, especially times like this, because I can really get locked in my head. I also have this pine tree out my window, and sometimes I'll just look at the pine tree, let my attention focus on the pine tree, and almost just take that in because it's sensory. It's outside of this very busy brain. Sometimes I'll just, feel my feet on the ground, not the thought of my feet, but to actually feel my feet on the ground. And what I've noticed is my breath starts to soften. So you can do these, notice, given your type, ask yourself, how do I go into disharmony? And feel free to write in the comments below. It can be really helpful for people who share your type structure. And what are your resources to come back home to yourself to bring you into harmony? If that's hard for you, come on our call, because that's what we're working on. We're not only sharing what's coming up for us, but we're sharing what are our resources. And your type can support you, and it can get in your way. It's an overuse of one of the centers, whatever your center is. So I'm going to do a little body meditation for you that, I actually had a friend of mine who's another Enneagram teacher call me when I was in India. When this all hit, the borders were closed in India, which, as you can imagine, I've been doing meditation practice for 20 years, and it was really unsettling when those borders were closed. And then we heard flights from Europe couldn't come into the United States. It was kind of this mixed messaging. Are we allowed to come to the United States? We had our travel agent, kind of looking, okay, what is Homeland Security saying? That created a lot of anxiousness in my system. And I had a dear friend of mine call, check out. She teaches the Enneagram, and she just brought me through this exercise. And that's what I'll bring up, do with you on another video. And we'll have to thank Renee Rosario of the narrative tradition for that. She taught it to me, and oh my goodness, I'm so grateful. So pay attention. Harmony, disharmony, regulation. All of it's really normal. And you can just pay attention and notice your resources that bring you back. And feel free to comment below. It was really helpful to hear stories from people today. Just that connection was such a big deal. And we closed with poetry, a poem from Mary Oliver, and a piece of music, and it was just pretty cool. So take care of yourself, hang in there, and I'll be checking in with you soon.